Okay, today we're going to start factoring trinomials. This will be a big thing we'll spend a lot of time on. We're going to start with what I would call some of the easier ones. Here, the ones we're going to do today, the coefficient of the x squared term is always going to be a 1. So we don't have to worry a whole lot about that, but kind of understand where we get this from. Remember, it comes from multiplying two binomials together. Okay, so I'm going to really go over right now the just kind of the guess and check method, which I think most of you will like on these type of problems, and later we'll learn another method if you want, but I like this method better. So remember the first, we're really going the FOIL in reverse, so the first term comes from multiplying the first terms together, so it'd have to be to get x squared, you'd have to multiply x and x. Well, to get 6, there's a couple of things you need to look at. You can multiply 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. But remember, we get a middle term by adding these two together. So 1 and 6 does not add to 5, but 2 and 3 do. Here, everything is positive, so it's just going to be a plus. You can check your work because the FOIL method should give you that answer. So we get x squared plus 3 for the outside plus 2x for the inside is 5x, and then we get our 6. So it's really using the FOIL method in reverse here. So I like to start with my two parentheses. I know x squared is going to be x and x. Again, think of factors of 8, 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Well, which ones add together to give you 6? In this case, plus 2 plus 4. Does it matter which one comes first? No. If you put x plus 4, x plus 2, that would be the same thing. So it's really helpful if you know a lot of your factors for your multiplications here. All right, let's try another one. Now we're getting into different signs, so we got to be a little more careful here with our signs. So we know we're going to have x and x. Now, we add two numbers together to get a negative. What does that tell us about the two numbers? Well, either they're both negative or one's a negative and one's a positive. But if we multiply them together and get a positive, that tells me they both need to be negative. So you have to really kind of think about the signs. And when you do double check in the end, please make sure you check that. So if the signs are the same, we're actually going to be adding them. So factors of 16, things we need to check are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. But we want them to add together to 10, so it would have to be minus 2 and minus 8. So again, double check. FOIL method. First term's x squared, outside minus 8x, inside minus 2x. That does give you negative 10x. And then negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16. So again, very important to watch your signs because that's where most people mess up on their factoring. So now we know that the signs must be different because one's a negative and one's a positive. That's what you get when you multiply two, a negative and a positive, you're going to get a negative. I don't like to put my signs in first on this. I like to do my numbers first. So when the signs are different, that means I'm going to subtract. So I'm really looking at two factors of 12 that when I subtract them, I get x, or 1. So in this case, it's going to be 4 and 3. Which one do I want to be the bigger one? Needs to be positive because that's where I get my sign from. So it'll be plus 4 minus 3. So lots of things to check here. So make sure you really think about all your signs and everything because this is rather tricky for some people. We'll do enough of these though that you'll become better at them. So again, I need my two sets of parentheses, x and x. My signs are going to be different, I know. And so I'm going to be subtracting them. So factors of 18 that I subtract and get 7 would be 9 and 2. I want my negative one, or the bigger one, to be negative. And again, double check, x squared, positive 2, negative 9 is negative 7x. 9 times 2 is negative 18. So again, two sets of parentheses. Signs are going to be different. Factors of 18 that when I subtract are going to give me a 3. So 6 times 3 looks like that'll work. So 6 and 3. Which one needs to be bigger or positive, the bigger one. So again, double check. X squared minus 3x plus 6x would be plus 3x minus 18. Okay, on this one, I give you a minute. You might want to pause and try it on your own to see if you understand what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and go, but if you pause it, you can do your own work and then check it here. Might want to do both of these so you can check. Factors of 12, we want them to add together, so it would be plus 4, plus 3. That would work. Here, again, my two sets of parentheses. Signs are going to be different, so I'm going to be subtracting. So 5 and 4 would subtract and give me 1, and I want 5 to be negative. and this one to be positive. So again, double check all your signs when you're doing these to make sure you have everything right. Alright, again, two sets of parentheses, x and x. What do I know about my signs? Well, to get a positive and to get a negative as a middle term, they're both going to need to be negative. Factors of 27, that when I add them, they give me 12. 9 and 3. So x minus 9, x minus 3. X and x. Here, notice we got a y squared, so we need to make sure we put a y at the end here. They're both going to be negative, so we know that to get a positive and a negative in the middle. So how about negative 3x minus 1y, or just minus y? And that would be it. So rather tricky. Watch your signs, check all your